Yeah.
then we have a problem.
Hasn't happened yet, knock on wood.
Okay, well, we'll hope that either Grant or Allison can make it. You haven't heard anything from either of them, right?
No, no. So no news is hopefully good
Oh,
news.
here's Grant. Okay, good. Then we do have quorum. Yay. Well, I think we'll give it a minute or two here and make sure everybody's, anybody want a mic check or anything?
Sure. Do you hear me?
I do hear you.
Well, I guess you hear me.
Good morning, everybody.
I think I hear Dean and Grant. I don't see Grant yet, but I hear you.
Okay, I'm on. This is Dean.
Copy.
Okay.
There we go. All right.
Hi,
Well,
Grant.
I think we'll give it a minute or two here, but we do have quorum at this point, so that's good. We can proceed. been discussing here in our meetings, and that we've heard more broadly. So I think there's really broad public consensus on this. So at this time, what I would like to do, I know that we do have some people here who have signed up to offer us their comments here in, well, not in person, but live today. And so I would like to get them going. Ralph, do you have a list? How did we decide we were going to do this? I see that you've emailed me a list.
And I have the list up. First on the list is Mark Bozanich.
Okay. And in general, those of you who are commenting, we're going to ask you, Ralph's going to run a timer. We're going to ask you to go for 3 minutes. If you can please try to stay within that, because we want to make sure that we're respectful of everybody's time. So Ralph will give you a reminder. Can you give him a reminder at like 2.5 or something, Ralph? He's going to be our timekeeper.
Yes.
Okay. He's the one whose account says DNR webinar there. All right. Well, without further ado, Mark, welcome to the committee meeting.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. My name is Mark Bozanich. I'm a research cartographer for the Washington State Department of Transportation. I've attended the Board on Geographic Names or Committee on Geographic Names meetings, most of the meetings over the last 31 years. And some of the committee members know me. But I just have general comments, not comments specifically on a specific name proposal. But the state law RCW 4330 254 says that the names approved by the board must be used on all state records. The federal law 43.11a section 364 says that the US board names must be used on all federal publications. And there are sometimes differences between the names that are approved by the US board and by the state board, which presents issues for making maps. Also, I want to make clear that as part of my job, I forward the decisions of the state board to the regional Washington State Department Transportation traffic engineers, and they have generally posted or changed signs based on the decisions of the board. And one final comment is just to clarify that the board's authority extends over natural geographic features. It does not include administrative jurisdictions such as state parks, national forests, etc. The only man-made features that the board has authority over are lakes formed behind man-made dams. So that's my comments. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much for being here with us this morning. Ralph, is Zoltan Grossman our next? He's next on our list. And I believe he's here. Good morning, Mr. Grossman.
Good morning, and thank you to the committee. I'm Zoltan Grossman, a member of the faculty in Geography and Native Studies at the Evergreen State College and past co-chair of the American Association of Geographers Indigenous People Specialty Group. I'm also a professional cartographer and was in the 90s in charge of tracking post-Soviet place name changes for Encyclopedia Britannica. In 2011, I wrote the federal application jointly with the Squaxin Island tribe to replace the racist and sexist place name on our campus with the original Lushootseed place name of Bushua Ali Point. Jointly celebrating the name change with the tribe was a positive experience for our college community and neighbors. As there are an unprecedented number of name changes on your docket, I trust that you're consulting with tribes on the possible pathways to change the names that have been so denigrating to Indigenous women. In reviewing the map of the sites, the tribes that may have possible geographic interest are quite evident. And in my written comments, I've included methodologies to identify them. The Coeur d'Alene tribe applied in the 2000s to change the derogatory place names in their ancestral territory, straddling Idaho and Washington. The tribe's innovative approach recognized that settlers had used the term to identify where they saw Native women gathering to harvest berries, camas bulbs, root seeds, medicinal plants, and other natural wealth. To honor these places of women's labor without using the derogatory name, the tribe proposed renaming them after prominent women leaders in their tribal history or after their language's words for female relatives, such as grandmother, niece, or eldest daughter. Given an opportunity, a tribe may wish to take a similar approach to properly honor Indigenous women's sites on their original lands, or may use an entirely different strategy. Given the harm that has been done to Native women through the derogatory place names, it's only proper that the tribes be respected and consulted on a government-to-government basis, following the 1989 Centennial Accord and 1999 New Millennium Agreement. While other states may follow a name change process in consultation solely with the public and federal government, Washington state agencies have an obligation to consult tribal governments. As the tribes have been the most affected by the 18 names, I hope and trust you prioritize their input in the renaming process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I should note that we have one of the things that since the committee kind of reconstituted post-pandemic or mid-pandemic, depending on how all that works out, is that we have been talking quite a bit this year and the last year about expanding tribal consultation. And we have been working toward that and have been sending notifications on all of this to all of the TIPO office and cultural programs for Washington state tribes that we're able to get contact info for. But I would encourage you and anyone else, we may have some folks, I recognize some names in our visitors list today. If you do have additional information about people that we should get on our email list for email updates, to please forward that to the board's email address, because we are very actively working on making sure that we are reaching the right people. And we want to be reaching everybody. We fully agree with that. It looks like the next person on our list is Jeremiah Wallace. Can we cue him up, Ralph?
The only other person that's actually in attendance on our, at least a Zoom attendance report here, and has signed up to speak is David Morgan.
David Morgan, okay. Well, then let's go ahead and get him to come and visit with us.
Hello, my name is David Morgan. I am a property owner on the lower Columbia River by River Mile 87. The island that had been named that has disappeared over time. So I just wanted to bring that up, and so that might be an easier thing just to have it disappear from the map rather than renaming. So I'm not sure if this is the right venue for that, that piece of that information, but I wanted to bring it up here.
This is the one in the Columbia River?
Yeah.
I think that we looked, I haven't been down there, but one of our staff actually went down and looked at that, and it's got a couple of BPA towers on it. So I wonder if we're thinking about two different islands.
The River Mile 87 one.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't have towers on it. It's at the upstream end of G Creek in between the wildlife refuge and my farm.
Okay, can you make sure that Caleb has your contact info? Because I think that when we looked at that one specifically, we thought that it was the one with the 2 BPA towers on it, which is
okay.
still, because we did actually send somebody out to take a look at that one. And if we are not looking at the correct place, we want to make sure we get that adjusted as we work on these reviews, because you're quite right. If it's not physically present, we have a whole separate issue. So thank you for bringing that to us, and we'll follow up on that. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, as long as you have my information to get in touch, I'm happy to share the information I have.
I think so. I think we've got your email here. That's at, it looks like that's at your work domain.
tnfarm.com. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't
Perfect.
want to read it out in a public meeting if you weren't comfortable with that. Okay, well, we will, I will ask Caleb to follow up with that, and we'll see if we can get all of that nailed down, because I know that we thought we thought we knew where that was, but if we've got an issue, we want to make sure that we address that completely.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Do we have anybody else here who is here as an attendee who meant to sign up for public comment or who wants to offer public comment, but maybe didn't click the right button? And is everybody able to raise their hands, Ralph? If
Yes.
they have something to offer. Okay, so if you do have something that you'd like to offer at this time, since we've gotten to the end of the folks who signed up for public comment and came this morning, if anybody else has any public comment they'd like to offer, please go ahead and raise your hands. And we'll give people a couple minutes. The hand raising button should be in the strip at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Okay. Well, I don't see anybody there. So I think with that, we will conclude public comment. And I would like to move on to discussing the draft letter. And so I'm going to kind of cast that over to the committee and see if you guys have any edits or thoughts for things we should develop or any other matters regarding that letter.
I really liked the letter. And I like the wording, particularly the use of the term derogatory rather than the term offensive. I think we have to be very precise that derogatory names are names used to demean someone as a representative of an ethnic group. Whereas, the adjective offensive can apply to any name. We're really interested in the derogatory names, and clearly the name squaw, the word squaw, has been used as a way to derogate or to demean someone. It's easily documented. So I'm just finagling there with our definitions, and I think that needs to be clear to people when they use these adjectives. That derogatory is the right one, and it covers many possibilities, but not infinite possibilities like the word offensive. A quibbling semantic distinction. Sorry.
Well, I want you to know that I sat down with Spokane Public Radio yesterday, and they started off calling it offensive. I said, no, I have a committee member who's been very clear with me about the language that we're all going to be using on this. So we'll keep working on that. Dean, did you have something you wanted to say?
I also like the letter a lot. I think it's important, however, that we make sure everybody understands that this is a two-part process. The first part is getting rid of the derogatory names, which I believe, all support enthusiastically. The second one is the slower, more methodical process, which I think you outlined well in the letter, and that is renaming. And the first one can happen fast. I'm not sure the second one, according to our process, can happen so fast, but that also allows for heavy involvement, or the possibility of heavy involvement by the citizens of this state. But I think that the letter states our position quite well.
Well, thank you. Put, do you have anything that you wanted to add to that, or where are you at?
Well, I would like to be very direct in informing the Washington State public that we are accepting the Department of Interior's hasty process, expecting that many of these names will again be changed in the relatively near future. I don't have the text of the letter in front of me, but it was clear that many of the people who commented to the Seattle Times thought that this was a done and dusted deal, that these sort of arbitrary names that DOI has picked out would be forever on the maps. And I'd like to be really clear that we have no intention of letting that happen, although our process depends on the public to bring proposals to us. We have accepted self-limitation that we don't suggest names ourselves, in spite of the fact that every now and again I have a funny one that I'd like to bring up.
Yeah, I think that's something that we would like all of our visitors today and our public commenters to know, is that we very, very much welcome. We are going to be having to rely on the engagement of the public. I think we all share, I know I certainly very strongly feel that we want to see names on the landscape that do what Mr. Grossman was talking about and reflect the lives and the heritage of Indigenous women in Washington State. I've been trying, as I've been doing all this media, to get out there and really say this. And it's a little bit complicated to try to get that over in a short news article. We had a couple of comments that I read this morning in the written comments that basically said, well, you know, this is, and they raised basically the same points that I've been trying to raise, but it's really hard to get that over in a short article or a short piece. And I do want to call out our comm staff who have been working when we get these articles coming out and going back and saying, actually, could we explain this in a little more detail to you? So we've had some folks who've really been willing to sit down and do detailed interviews, and some of them we've had to go back. But I do want to thank our communications staff for doing that extra step and going back out to the press and saying, okay, let's explain this one more time, guys. Because it is complicated, but we really do want to get those public proposals. We don't control what the Department of the Interior does. We can only comment on it. But we really, I think everybody on this committee really, really wants to see things come through that continue to, or really, it's not even a continuation. It's, we want to commemorate Indigenous women on the landscape. That's really important to all of us. We're all very committed to that. But that is going to go a lot better if we get that help from the public that I hope we're going to see. So it sounds like we're all feeling pretty good about the letter, and we do have a quorum here. We're a little short, but that's to be expected when we've got special meetings happening. Do I have a motion to approve transmission of the letter to the Department of the Interior?
So moved. Yeah, I'll move that.
All right. Do I have a second? All right.
Sure.
Mr. Barber. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We have unanimous approval on transmitting this letter. Then in that case, I think that we have concluded our business for the special meeting in 30 minutes. So congratulations on running the shortest meeting. But I was going to say, do we have other remarks? It looks like, Dean, you have something else.
I just would like to say that I was appointed to this committee years ago by Commissioner Jennifer Belcher. And I'm sad to report that she died 2 weeks ago around her family in West Virginia. She loved this committee and she always attended the meetings. She said it was one of the most fun things that she had to do, that she did as a commissioner of public lands. And I know that she would agree with everything we're doing and with regard to these changes. And I'd just like to acknowledge that she was a great friend and a great servant for the state of Washington. Thank you.
Thank you for saying
Absolutely.
so. Thank you, Dean.
Yeah, thank you. I think that we, all of us here at the department, have noted her passing as well. And she was, I believe, our first woman commissioner in the department. So speaking of women's history and women's history in Washington State, Jennifer Belcher was absolutely an important part of that. And I appreciate you taking a few minutes here to honor her. Do we have any other observations for the good of the order? Okay, well, at our next meeting, which is scheduled for the end of this month, I expect that we will be considering those items which I think everybody should have a packet. The name proposal should be up on the website. We will have kind of our normal order of business proposals. We will see, given how much has been going on. I know we talked about getting updated forms. I think we've kind of front-loaded the travel consultation improvements that we talked about at our last regular meeting, because that all really had to get implemented for us to deal with 3404. I think some of the paperwork stuff, we will be trying to get to it by the end of the month if Caleb's and my schedules permit us to do so. I know we both want to, but we also both have other work that is pressing. And this has been kind of a time-consuming thing for the staff of the committee. Yes, Grant?
Yeah, if we do quarterly meetings, I assume that you'll get a schedule going for us so that we can, plan our lives for the next year.
Exactly. Yes. No, that's high on my list of priorities, and I think that will be a topic on the agenda for our next regularly scheduled meeting. Is because also we seem to be doing these in like off months, and so Caleb and I were like counting on our fingers yesterday afternoon, like, when are we doing this? How are we going to make it work? So I think we'll have some calendar time and talk about what days of the week work best for everybody, and try to make sure we get that lined up if we're going to have these more frequent meetings, and try to line it up also with the Board of Natural Resources schedule so that I can let them know when I'm going to need 10 minutes on their calendar and just get that booked in with Tammy.
Yeah, you know about those things. We don't, but we need to. so
Yes.
Please tell us,
Yes, absolutely agreed. I think we worked out, did we, end of July, is that when we're thinking, Caleb, for the next quarterly?
Yeah, and I like your point earlier, what you said. I'll add this discussion to the business part of the meeting at the end of the month. And so, yeah, if there's 4 months out of the year that work great for everyone, we could go with that kind of approach, or whatever works best for the committee, I guess.
I think we want to make sure that we are staggering it away from major holidays. So we may have to tweak things a little bit, because I think if we do July, then I'd like to make sure we don't come around in November or December at the end of the month. I think that's not going to work out very well. We'll have trouble getting a quorum, but we can probably engineer things so that we don't do that.
We did have a Halloween meeting, so.
That could be enjoyable. That could be enjoyable.
We can dress up.
We could do that. We dress up as your favorite geographic place.
Or maybe we don't need to.
Come to the meeting as your favorite mountain range. All right. Do we have any other business? Okay. Well, that went pretty briskly. I think Mary will probably still be in her other meeting, but I think we'll be saying good morning to everybody, and I will look forward to seeing you at the end of the month.
Thank you, Sarah.
All right. Bye, guys.
Recording stopped.